What's cracking, trenders? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. In today's video, I'm showing off this team that I just went on an absolute tear with. I went 13-2 over 3 sets with this team today. Yesterday, also gained about 50 or so points, so to the tune of about 200 elo in 2 days with this team. And I think that it's worth sharing because this is such a strong team. We have Araquanid on the lead. Now, to be completely transparent, I did not create this team. I actually got it from a trainer that I battled the other day when I was making the other 2 videos. I don't remember which team I was using, but they had it, and it was really interesting to me. And Araquanid is a super strong lead in this cup, does really well into most things in some neutral way, shape, or form, even into like Scizor. It's really strong. However, one of the things that it does not want to see is electric, so we need to make sure that we have also flying, to be honest. Both of those things are terrible for Araquanid, and so we want to have a backline that's going to be able to cover those things. Unoven's Stunfisk covers both of those, and then some for Araquanid quite nicely here. And as our safe switch, because we want to have at least one other thing that's really strong at the Dedenne and Flyers, and also is going to be flexible enough to be able to flip switch. And no, I'm not talking about Cradily. We're talking about the ground type that beats Cradily. Shadow Ice Fang Hippowdon. I know there's a couple of videos out there already that people have made about this thing. I'm throwing mine in there, but I genuinely believe that this is going to be if not the best and most busted teams for the Jungle Cup. So let's get into these games here. I got 3 full sets for you today to try and get as many different lead matchups and other things in here so you guys can see examples of how these games were played. Our first game here in this 3 sets, this is going to be up against our dear old friend Cradily. Now, the bug bites are ripping through this Pokemon, and we are going to have a great time here, but we are going to end up shielding a Rock Tomb, and I don't know if it's right to shield or not there, just because I know it does a lot of damage, and I wish I had run Bug Buzz, to be honest. I feel like Bug Buzz on Araquanid might actually be really fun. And a lot of people won't expect it. But after that lands, we should be able to get a full farm down. And I do win switch advantage here. And the opponent has a Pangoro. Now, I normally safe switch my Shadow Hippowdon, but I'm down a shield. And Pangoro is very quick to get to these nukes. So I wanted to bring in my Unoven Stunfisk because it was more bulky and could live a close combat if the opponent decided to throw it. Also, PSA, I tried Pangoro today, and most people are going to be running it with Rock Slide in this cup. Whether or not you choose to forego close combat or Night Slash is up to you. I usually would expect to go close combat, Rock Slide, but the opponent either not wanting to risk dropping their defense, or they actually are running Rock Slide, Night Slash. Either way, I'm going to let this go. At this point, Araquanid's debuffs will have been reset from the Rock Tombs, and Shadow Hippowdon is really strong into this meta, just generally speaking. This Ice Fang plus the Rock and Ground combo of its coverage is just really good. The opponent going to be able to get a final charge attack off, and I'm just going to let it go, and I'm going to say it's Shadow Hippowdon versus the world. The opponent has, in the back, with no shields, a Shadow Talonflame, and the Hippowdon would have ended its whole career, but the opponent's going to concede before it gets the chance. Good game. All right, Araquanid into the leads here. I think I'm going to try to focus a little bit more on explaining the leads because putting Stunfisk and Hippowdon on things are a little bit less, like, there's more finesse in the leads. I feel like Araquanid is absolutely like him, okay? Araquanid is absolutely the one Pokemon that makes this team as good as it is because of how bulky and oppressive it can be with its fast moves. So we're having a Lantern in the lead here. I do thankfully get my Bubble Beam off. I mean, if I'm throwing damage, I guess I could just go for Water Pulse. It does hit harder, but I wanted to see if I could live a second Thunderbolt, which probably not, but after the debuff, it could be close. Either way, I'm going to let this go, and I'm going to see if I can't let my Stunfisk try to do something, but we do end up living it, but we can't get to the Bubble Beam for a little bit of chip damage. The opponent going to bring in an Acid Cradily, and this is where Shadow Hippowdon looks to thrive. The opponent going to go for a charge move. I'm always going to shield this, and they're always going to throw Rock Tomb at me because that's just my luck, but actually, I did get quite a lucky number of trainers that were just throwing the Grass Knots at me, so I respect all of you for doing that because that's what you should do. Don't degenerate Rock Tomb any of that nonsense, but opponent here might go for the Rock Tomb. I'm not going to take that chance because we are just going to be able to Ice Fang down the Cradily. The opponent might not be able to switch out yet. In comes the Lantern, and I should have just gone for the Walk type Weather Ball. The Rock type Weather Ball. The opponent has a Talonflame in the back. I'm going to strip that final shield with a Weather Ball, doing as much damage as I can just to make sure that they're in discharge range for my Stunfisk. The opponent will need at least 2 flame charges to get a knockout plus some incinerates, so we're safe to just come in with the Stunfisk, absorb this energy, and then go for the discharge after 2 more, because I don't believe they even had their second flame charge yet. So discharge is going to knock out the Talonflame, and then Credilli's going to come in, and we're just going to mud bomb that thing, because that's what Stunfisk is good at, just slinging mud bombs at things, taking out Dilly and taking the win. Good game to the opponent. Next game, Araquanid on the lead versus a Shadow Scizor. This is one of the leads that this is really nice for Araquanid. What we're going to do here is, if they're in the lead, we're going to be building up energy, and we're going to let them throw the Night Slash or Trailblaze. Either way is fine with me. This trainer goes for the Night Slash. Most of them have gone for the Trailblaze, but we are going to end up going for a Water Pulse here. Now, after this, I've learned that if you build up to the Water Pulse, the Scizor will shield. If you don't build up to the Water Pulse, they won't shield. So, build up to the Water Pulse and throw the Bubble Beam. Trust me, it makes sense when you see what happens in the later sets when I get to do this again. Night Slash is not going to be cutting it here, though. I'm going to be going for a Bubble Beam. The opponent did look like they got a Night Slash boost, which is not good, but we get both shields off of the opponent here, and we risk being able to actually get to another Bubble Beam, almost, but no, we get farmed down. Now I'm going to come in with my Stunfisk. The opponent is debuffed here, and that's important to me because it means I can live a Trailblaze, and I don't believe they had enough energy to be able to get to another move. So they're going to come in with a Guzzlord. We have a 2-shield Shadow Hippowdon ready to face the world, and boy, is he going to do it. We're going to be going for the shield here on the Brutal Swing. I am going to end up trying to overfarm quite a bit here, but the opponent throws on suboptimal timing so they can actually get their move in, which is a really strong play, because I was just going to throw the Weather Ball, but that allows me, however, to fully farm down the Guzzlord. Thankfully, they did not get the DRE damage registration error where they would have been able to get that move in. We're going to throw the Weather Ball right away, lock in the CMP against the Scizor. And I mean, Scizor, it's either Credilli in the back or Altaria, and one of those two... I mean, one of those two is very bad for my Stunfisk, but Altaria in the back would be fine. The opponent does have the Altaria. I'm going to swap out with the Weather Ball and go right to Stunfisk and start throwing off discharges. This should be able to put me in a winning position here because as long as I have that Weather Ball loaded and I don't get lagged by the game, which is, you know, something I fully expect to happen because why doesn't it? It always does. I should be able to lock in that Weather Ball, and they should be well within range of it at this point. So I'm just letting them take me out here, immediately tapping the Weather Ball despite the game, always feeling like it doesn't want to let me, and making my anxiety spike to inhumane levels, but we're going to be able to knock him out with a Rock Weather Ball and take the game. Well played to the opponent. All right, next game, we got Furret on the lead. This is a neutral lead, but I do believe we win this. However, the opponent in this game is not going to let me play it out, I don't believe. I think they're actually going to swap at some point, but that's okay. We're going to go for the Bubble Beam here anyway. I don't actually know how the correct way to play this matchup out is. I've only seen this one Furret lead with this team, so forgive me, but the opponent will swap out here into a Water Gun Lantern. They're down a shield, and I'm going to come in with my Stunfisk and look to absorb the Surf. Now, I don't really like the thought of absorbing Surf, and this is actually the game where I find out that the opponent, once they land that Surf, can just simply farm down before you can get to your third Mud Bomb, which is really unfortunate. So, despite me being up shields here, I am going to lose my Stunfisk, which also kind of hampers my ability to do super effective damage to this Lantern. So I think at this point what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to bring in my Araquanid and try and take care of this thing, get rid of it, take rid of it. Take rid of it. Water Pulse is going to come close to knocking out, and I actually make a last-second switch. They are within about 1 or so Bug Bite, so I assume they're going to throw that Thunderbolt. We're going to catch it on the Hippowdon because we can. And the opponent is going to go for a charge move here. They're going to go for the Swift. Either way, regardless of what they're going to go for here, I'm going to shield it up because the Hippowdon getting the energy that it needs here is going to be helpful in this end game. The Furret is going to be throwing its Trailblaze here. I'm going to throw 4, not because I think I'm going to lose CMP, but because I think I'm going to miscount and screw things up for myself. So I'm just going to make sure that I get to throw that, and I make a massive mistake here by going for this Weather Ball. I would like to think that Hippowdon, maybe, I don't even know who wins the CMP tie. However, because of the fact that Araquanid is going to take super effective damage from the Stone Edge, I'm kind of resigning myself to a loss here. So we're just going to take the Stone Edge and move on because they are going to have enough energy to get to another move. But wait, Araquanid comes back, hangs on because it's Bond with me is so good. We're going to be able to get this Bubble Beam off at the last second for Piloswine to go down, and we are just grasping victory by the hair on our chin, man. Good game. 4-1 to start off, and that's just the beginning, getting into the next battle here. And we see a really nice lead into Torterra here. The opponent going to swap into Lantern, and I'm going to make a quicker switch this time into my Stunfisk. I do realize that I would be doing a net positive amount of damage by me doing neutral to them and them doing resisted to me, but I don't want to chance the fact that I'm going to try to catch a Thunderbolt, because the chances are a one-turn fast move, it's so random, I'm never going to catch it. I'm just going to catch hands and some Surfs on my Stunfisk. So I'm just going to go right into the Stunfisk, see what I can do here. But the nice thing is that the Torterra, it has absolutely nowhere to go into this backline. Ice Fang Hippowdon hits for double super effective fast move damage. Araquanid's hitting for super effective bug bites and shredding through it. So down a shield, I don't need switch. I'm going to come in with my Hippowdon, and I want to explain why. Because the reason I come in with my Hippowdon here is because they're never going to bring in the Torterra to this. It's double super effective damage, and I'm assuming that they probably have a flyer of some sort in the back. And so what I'm hoping is that they show me the flyer and I can keep Araquanid on the Torterra. Or if they bring in the Torterra, we're just farming it down. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Hippowdon getting the full farm down. The opponent does not have the Sand Tomb. And if they did, I don't think I would have shielded. But they have a Dedenne in the back, and that is going to be an easy victory for this one. Good game. Well, I wouldn't say easy. I think that bringing in the Hippowdon there was really the play that sold the game for me. Now, getting into the next battle here, Hippowdon is going to be able to swap in as I need it to, because Araquanid does not like Magnezone in the least, but the opponent's staying in and throwing mirror shots, and so I figure, oh, they're just going to chip and dip, but they actually continue to stay in. And I'm like, oh, you're weak to the Hippo, aren't you? So we are going to be going and shielding up this mirror shot, and I'm going to be utilizing this Hippowdon. However, the unfortunate thing here is that my opponent does indeed get a drop on me. I'm going to be going for the Scorching Sands here. I don't think that after that drop that the Rock Tomb was going to be, or the Rock-type Weather Ball was going to be enough, and the opponent no-shields it, lets it go. In comes the Gyarados, and I'm safe switching into my Stunfisk here. I don't know what they're going to have in the back, but I'm assuming it's going to be another flyer, and I'm about to find out. And the opponent's going to bring in Altaria here, and, well, I figured it was a flyer, but Hippowdon's looking pretty low down there, and I don't think it's going to be able to get a whole lot of value anymore from where it's at. However, I can keep in mind, though, that its Ice Fang damage will do a lot if I can get the Altaria low enough for that damage to matter. The opponent here is going to get a move in. I'm going to let it go regardless. They're going to go for a Sky Attack, and oh, I think I would have almost lived that. But the opponent here looking to come in with their Gyarados, trying to catch a move, but really, honestly, I needed to put the energy into the Gyarados, so I'm really glad that they did that, because Araquanid wouldn't have appreciated it. But again, neither does, it doesn't really appreciate Deltaria either. The entire team, by the way, back to front, completely destroys my Araquanid, but we're still able to take it out because this Shadow Hippowdon is absolutely a Giga Chad. And we have a Spidops, the newest Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, at least as of this recording, and we have it right in front of us here and right in front of our eyes. The opponent has Lunge, and they're going to have Rock Tomb, so I have a decision to make. Am I shielding this Rock Tomb? In this case, I choose not to, because it's not a Rock-type Pokemon that's throwing it, and so the Rock Tomb is not likely to do as much damage as if, for example, something like Credilli threw it, which has a, which has the rock subtyping and allows it to do a little bit more damage. Same type attack bonus is a thing for Pokemon in general. The opponent is, however, going to be able to get this Rock Tomb off, but they've already shielded what is a Bubble Beam, and I am very happy they did. We're going to be able to go for a Water Pulse here and do quite a bit of damage and try and get some Bug Bites in. The opponent is down a shield here, and Unova Stunfisk is coming in. The opponent is just going to send a move this way. It could be a Lunge, but regardless, I'm not shielding that, and then we're going to be able to get a full farm down after the opponent tries to throw the Rock Tomb. Now, they're going to come in with Credilli. They have Bullet Seed, and that's kind of scary, but they decide not to throw a move, and they just come in with the Shadow Scizor, which I have only really one way to win this game, because the Bullet Punches from this Hippowdon are going to shred so hard, and the opponent has Bullet Seed on their Dilly, which is the only Bullet Seed Credilli I've seen, by the way, all week. We're going to be able to get to 2 Rock Weather Balls here and hopefully knock out the Scizor. It's not a lot of damage coming from Weather Ball, but it's a squishy Pokemon like Scizor, but it lives on 1 HP, and I have to take an extra Bullet Punch for it. I'm going to go for 2 of the Ice Fangs so that I can get as much damage in without taking that second Bullet Seed, and then my Stunfisk is going to look to unload these Mud Bombs. The opponent getting very low. We saw how much damage the Mud Bomb does, and I'm going to be looking to go for another one. The opponent throws the Grass Knot. I know my Stunfisk can live it, and we're going to be going for this next Mud Bomb, and honestly, at this point, they can throw a move if they want. The the Hippowdon just needs to get one Ice Fang through, but the opponent unable to farm down the Stunfisk is going to be able to take it for us. Good game, well played. Next game, Araquanid staring down another Shadow Scizor, and I'm trying to see if this is where I learned my lesson from last time. See, when we're in the lead here, again, I'm going to let them throw this first move. I'm not going to try to hammer out a Bubble Beam as soon as I get it just to drop their attack. That's not what we want to do here. We want to be able to threaten a shield, and I almost do it. I think this is the last game where I decide I'm not gonna do it. The opponent does not shield, and that is right there. That is right where I'm like, dude, I can't keep doing it this way. So the opponent swaps into a Zweilous, and I realize this is most likely the team that I featured yesterday on the channel from Yuri Avenger, who was running the Guzzlord and the Zweilous. So I'm going to be looking to try to align my Hippowdon onto the Guzzlord in the back, but hey, I'm going to do something really crazy here. Stunfisk is about to farm up so much energy that if that Guzzlord comes in, I'm going to be able to throw 2 or 3 Mud Bombs at it pretty quick. We're going to be looking to get a full farm down here. The opponent does get a last-second charge move, but Hippowdon is going to be my win condition here. I want to do as much damage to Scizor as I possibly can. It's already pretty low from dealing with Araquanid, and they're going to bring in that Guzzlord. I'm going to be looking to go for not 2, but 3! 3 Mud Bombs! I can feel my wife's eyes behind me, just like, dude, why are you so stupid? Anyway, we're going to be shielding up this Brutal Swing here. I do want to save Stunfisk for a little bit, and then we're going to be looking to throw another Mud Bomb here. If I can get this thing really low, like Hippowdon is just... I need to get the shield off of the opponent, honestly, if I can. But Guzzlord is low enough now. Hippowdon's going to come in. The opponent is pretty low on that Scizor. I'm looking to make a full farm down here if I can, and I'm shielding my Hippowdon in order to get it. Now, hopefully the opponent doesn't get to another move, and they do not. However, the Guzzlord is getting pretty close to a move, I think, and I go straight for this Weather Ball, hoping that they throw right away, and it looks like the opponent did decide to lock in their charge move, their shielding, and that's going to pretty much clean up the game for us here, as we're going to be able to get an Ice Fang in if the opponent does not take us out, and they do not. We're able to get the Thunder Shock down with Stunfisk. If the opponent had taken us out, Stunfisk was just 1 away from a move, and they did not have 2. Oh, good game. Another positive lead for Araquanid here. Loves to see the Guzzlord, and the opponent safe swaps into a Shadow Scizor, and this is where it's fine to throw the Bubble Beam right away, because we're going to be able to get to this Bubble Beam just as they're able to get to the Trailblaze, right as they finish that next Bullet Punch, and we're able to get the drop on them before they can throw energy, which is really nice in this matchup. They are going to go for the Trailblaze, and actually what I'm going to look to do here is try to see if I can't fully farm down this Scizor. The opponent going for another charge move. This is only a Night Slash, and I'm totally fine with letting this go. I want to put my Hippowdon on the Guzzlord if I possibly can, and hope that just Unova Stunfisk cooks against whatever's in the back. I did at one point consider bringing in Stunfisk to try to get like a full farm down to the Scizor after I had gotten that the Bubble Beam in, but I was trying to go for some alignment there with the Hippowdon on the Guzzlord, and it looks like so far we're able to make it. The opponent throws a Brutal Swing as well, not wanting to take any more damage, but we're going to be able to have the opponent get put under a lot of pressure here, and they're going to swap out of that Guzzlord, taking all that damage right into a Talonflame, playing right into our trap. Stunfisk is exactly what we need to finish this game off here, and we're going to be able to take this one, and we just need to mind our timing and make sure that we don't take too much damage on the Stunfisk. Now, I'm going to be going for 2 Thunder Shocks here after getting some energy from before, and look to fire off the discharge, get the final shield, and the opponent basically needs to try to... I don't know. I mean, they need to get both shields off of me here to have a chance to win this game, and we have just so much of our team left. Now, the opponent makes a really nice catch here. In the moment, I was staring at that Talonflame. I saw it didn't instantly switch out, and so I'm like, okay, I'll just throw this move. Now, the opponent's Guzzlord is going to be able to get a move off here, but at this point, all I need to do is let this go, let the Stunfisk get the shock down, and we're going to be able to take this one, going for the farm down ourselves, the opponent not having 2 moves to take us out. Good game, well played. And that was a hype 5-0, and right now we are 9-1, and I am so excited because I have been getting trashed in the Go Battle League for so long it feels nice to go this positive. And speaking of positive, a Swampert on the lead. We are now creeping into the 2800 elo bracket. The opponent's going to safe switch into a Mandibuzz, and I'm going to look to farm up some energy on Araquanid since they are on Snarl and look to catch a move. Now, I was hoping to catch a little bit sooner. I wanted to try and sneak a Thundershock through, but I won't be too mad about it because they really did almost no damage with the Aerial Ace, which is more or less what I was trying to do, is redirect that energy. The opponent is going to go for a Dark Pulse here, and we're going to be looking to fire off some discharges on good timing to make sure that we can maximize the energy and the fast move timing, all that. It's basically how move timing is essentially, if you're not familiar, and some of you are, and forgive me for reviewing it for anyone who might not be, but the whole point of fast move timing, right? All the different move durations interact with each other in certain ways, and so it's nice to be able to like internalize the interactions so that you know how many moves to throw to be the most efficient when you're dealing with certain interactions. Because if you can make it so that the opponent is not getting free turns of damage or energy, and you're able to maximize that efficiency, it's really going to help you elevate your play if you're looking for just kind of a way to push forward a little bit. And not to say that I'm the best at it. I'm good at timing when there's no swaps involved. As soon as there's a swap involved, dude, I'm hosed. I just completely lose it. Opponent's going to swap into the Scizor here in the next game, and after we take that one, and this is against a fellow content creator, streamer, Goalie Greg. He posts, I think, some videos on YouTube as well. Solid dude. And we are going to be dealing with the Scizor safe swap here. And this is the game where I decide I'm going to go all in with the Stunfisk farm. I got that Bubble Beam. Bubble Beam debuff in. The Throw the Night Slash. Trailblaze is going to do quite a bit of damage, but it's debuffed, and so I'm totally fine with this. Because the Credilli is always going to have to throw energy here, and because they're on Acid, they can't farm me down, especially not from this HP range. And so we're going to be able to unleash a barrage of Mud Bombs here, and if I'm lucky, I'll be able to get 3. Basically, the opponent, if they don't want to take a third Mud Bomb, has to throw now, otherwise they're going to end up taking this Mud Bomb, and they decide to overfarm here, wanting to try to get some residual energy for the next matchup, but unfortunately, Stunfisk is not here to mess around, and is going to be able to nearly get to another Mud Bomb. The opponent forced to throw some energy, and it's got to be the Grass Knot. We're going to see them go for it. They do take out the Stunfisk, and we come back in with the Araquanid, trying to get the farm down, but the opponent hangs on, and I'm shielding Araquanid, because if this move takes out the Credilli, then I can freely debuff whatever's in the back, but unfortunately for me, they have a Altaria in the back. Now, this is fortunate for the Hippowdon, and this is going to force the opponent to have to use all of their energy, and then some. 2 shields is not going to save them, though, from the fast moves. They're not even able to get to a Sky Attack, and unfortunately, Credilli's not going to have a good time against the Ice Fang Hippowdon, and they concede. Good game, well played. Next game, the Araquanid hits up a Dedenne lead. This is one of the bad leads that I've seen, and we're going to see Hippowdon come in. Now, the opponent brings in a Guzzlord into our Hippowdon, and this feels like this should just be a win, because whatever's in the back, I mean, it can't be any worse than what Araquanid has to deal with if it's against Dedenne, and Stunfisk just being against Dedenne completely eliminates it as a threat. So I'm going to go ahead and no shield that Brutal Swing, because I know that I can. The opponent, however, puts up a shield and then loses switch advantage and immediately concedes because they don't want to mess with whatever they had in the back, did not want to see Araquanid. And that's a good game. Into the next game, we got another Scizor lead. We're going to see if I've evolved my tactics by now. I know how to do it now after playing the 3 sets and then some I did with this team. However, it took me a little bit to make sure that I was doing it consistently. The opponent's going to go for a charge move here. It's probably a Trailblaze. Regardless of what it is, I'm going to let it go. And then we're going to look to go for a few more and go for the Bubble Beam, thinking that it might be enough for the Water Pulse. The opponent has a decision to make because the Water Pulse would knock out from this range. They are going to go ahead and shield, and this is fine. Now I can go for the other Bubble Beam. The opponent won't be able to knock out the Trailblaze. It just doesn't quite do enough here, and we're going to be able to go for this Bubble Beam and either take switch advantage or both shields from the opponent, and I'm fine with either one. Now we're going to be able to almost knock out, get one more Bug Bite in. The opponent has a Cancel Marowak in the back, and I'm just like, uh-oh, because they also have an Abomasnow in the back. There's nothing I can do, man. My Stunfisk is not having a good time here, and I have to put up both my shields just to try to keep my Hippowdon alive. And I cannot bring... Maybe I should have brought in my Stunfisk. All right, to be honest, I could have brought in the Stunfisk. There's probably other things I could have done in this game to maybe eke out a win, but I feel like because I had to rely on Hippowdon so much, and my Araquanid... Dude, Araquanid shredded this backline, and I'm so mad about it. But We move on. It's okay. Weather Ball is going to knock him out. We are going to try to get the 2 Ice Fangs in, see if we can get close enough to a Rock Weather Ball. If I can land 1 Mud Bomb, maybe we get there, but the opponent's going to have 2 Bone Clubs before I can get there comfortably. I was trying to see if I could overfarm, but Mud Bomb wasn't going to do enough anyway, and they're going to be able to take us out here. Unfortunately, we cannot overcome the Cancel Marowak in the back, and that's going to be a good game. It might have... Had I thrown the Mud Bomb, seeing it in hindsight, it might have actually been close to being enough, so I might have just lost that game because I didn't throw the energy. That's entirely my fault. But in the next game, another Electric-type Stunfisk. This time we're going to immediately switch into the Shadow Hippowdon, and the opponent does not have a direct response. Instead, they have a Forretress here that they have on Bug Bite, which is a pretty solid answer. However, unfortunately, the opponent is going to shield up our bait, which at that much energy, I mean, you kind of have to if you're going to throw Rock to them, which of course they are. However, because they have Bug Bite, that means that I'm not going to be able to survive too many more fast moves, and I'm going to have to throw the Scorching Sands just to make sure that we can get this damage in. The opponent takes it, and Araquanid's going to come in, and even though it resists these Bug Bites, I'm going to take a Rock Tomb on the nose, and I'm going to let this go, and then I'm going to fully farm down. Look to fire off a Water Pulse into the Stunfisk, especially because it's debuffed. The opponent, there's no way they actually shield this. Have 1 shield left, and it's not resisted. It's a debuffed move. There's no way. They're going to let this go. We're going to now swap in our own Stunfisk and look to try to sweep a shield up against their Stunfisk. I will shield the first Mud Bomb here just in case they end up having something with fast move pressure in the back, but at this point, they're throwing both. I'm pretty comfortably able to know that they're probably out of energy here, and so they're going to bring in a Scizor, and up this much energy, Stunfisk is about to go hard, man, and Mud Bomb is going to do quite a bit. They can survive 1 pretty comfortably, though, but the second's not going to be so kind. Now we're going to let this go. The opponent, I believe, is only going for a Night Slash here, and I don't feel like I need to shield that because we resist the fast moves. I'm going to bank this energy, swap into the Araquanid, but the opponent's able to make a last-second charge attack, but I see the win condition here. We just let this go. The opponent doesn't quite get the knockout. I was actually expecting it to knock out, so I'm actually fine with that. We're even able to get a Bubble Beam in. However, the opponent's able to get some extra farm. In the moment, I forgot that I had a shield. I forgot that they had a shield. I was like, dude, I had like a total mental brain fart moment. But they need to farm up to 2 moves and throw both of them in order to take the win here, and we were simply closer and still have our shield to be able to get to 2 moves ourselves, so we're going to be able to take this one. The opponent's Stunfisk goes down, and that's going to be a good game. Well played. And man, this team is, you have to try this team. If you can, try it. Again, if I didn't say it in the beginning, and I thought I did, but just in case I didn't, because I did have a couple of takes at the intro before I landed on one that I just ran with it. Hippowdon doesn't need to be a shadow. It's preferred heavily. But you can also try a Piloswine if you want, maybe Furret. I mean, there's certain things that you can try here. Just try not to be ABA, well, not Furret, because you're weak to Dedenne. Try to use flexible ground type. Claydol! Claydol's a great... I should have said Claydol at the beginning. Hey, if you stuck around this long, you got the secret Claydol sauce. You could also run Claydol over Stunfisk if you want to. Both of those are successful backlines to run with this team. But hey, let me know in the comments if you've had some success in the Jungle Cup, and if you tried this team, hopefully you do well. I'm sorry if it doesn't go the way that you hope it will. This team has been really awesome, but I did have some negative sets with it while I was climbing. It just happens, but anyway, I hope that this Jungle Cup continues to be kind. I'm getting closer to Legend. Mid-2800s is a nice place to be. This is my new season high. It's awesome. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you for watching as always. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.